Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm actually there's a lot of things going on, lots of new reveals and stuff, so I'm gonna hopefully catch up real quick. I was busy for quite a while, but we should get back to the usual uploads. I'm Mush. This is Chaos Galaxy TCG. It's a very cool trading card game. Links in the description to people's channels and the Discord where we talk, play games, etc. Today we're going to be discussing the brand new reveals for the planet Teklar. Teklar is the newest planet, so it's been kind of struggling recently just because of the small card pool, and a lot of its initial card pool in set 4, Planets United, was pretty underwhelming. So hopefully the new reveals today should be pretty cool. I've already looked at them, and they happened like weeks ago. But let's go over them real quick, just so we know. Varsity Rose over the cards that exist. Okay. So the first card he showed off was the Bahrain. This card I think is pretty underwhelming. 4 stars. 270 health is pretty good. Walls out a fair bit of stuff. Requires your opponent to commit to something bigger to deal with it, usually, or some kind of resources. I think it's like 216 above is considered pretty bulky, generally. But the 40 power is super underwhelming. This thing's not going to do a lot when it hits the board, and it's just not very threatening in general, so your opponent doesn't really have to deal with it all that much. The art is very good. I think it's Govora art, and the effect is also pretty underwhelming. It's whenever you look at the top card of your Galaxy, you gain 1 star. It's just like a really slow starting card. I don't think it's that good. Probably won't see play. Like, it's basically a 3-star, I guess, since you should be able to look at the top card of your Galaxy when you cosplay it, which is nice, I suppose. And it has good stats for something that's basically a 3-star. But yeah, I think it's just not going to be that good. Starting cards generally historically not very good, and this one's not like particularly noteworthy in any sense. Lightning Squaws, I think it's Squaws. I think that's how you say it. It seems to be probably pretty, like, very good. It's a 2-star, 38, 110. Not super impressive stats, but the effect is after this creature is killed by an opponent's attack, kill the creature that attacked. So this basically means that your opponent. This is good because it's going to force your opponent to play pretty differently. Has a similar effect to kind of like Shock-a-Fly, where you can just play it, and that kind of diffuses. It can potentially diffuse pressure because, like, if your opponent has like a big creature like Pelipper on their board, they probably don't want to waste that by killing the squaws. So it usually will force them to either slow down and start building wider, or use removal of some sort to get this guy out of the way. I think it will be, if there's cards, if the next format when this set releases um, has a lot of smaller creatures, I think we'll definitely see Charge Blaster even more with Lightning Squaws around, because this card, I think, Charge Blaster is a really good answer to this card. So yeah, this card seems really good, really versatile. It's just gonna be good in general. I don't know which decks will play it, but I think it's gonna be good, even outside of Teklar for sure. It's kind of hard to tell exactly how good it's going to be because, when it does hit the field, it doesn't do a lot. It just requires your opponent it just changes the way your opponent has to play, which is usually pretty good. But yeah, it's just not super proactive, I suppose. But probably going to be played, especially in Teklar, probably outside Teklar too. This is the big reveal, HYDORON. This is the last Chaos Beast, so to speak. And this card's very good. I think this card will probably put Teklar on the map. It's just actually that strong, probably. 350, 390. I'm going to compare this card to Cerbram because they're very similar. They can both enter 2 battle zones if they are from their home planet, basically. So, like, relative to Cerbram, this card has a higher damage output. The 10 extra power puts it at 350, so it's going to be able to swing for 4 and 8. But then it's a lot less bulky, so it's at 390. And obviously, 390 loses to anything with 400 or more, which is a pretty common stat point. You see Meltalon, you see Gitamaki has that. Lots of the Palladium creatures hit 400 or more. Yeah. So yeah, the stats are good, but it's a little bit more fragile and like offensive oriented than Cerebram, I think. And then the free play effect is different as well. So when HYDORON is killed, you look at the top 5 Galaxy cards and free play 1 revealed Teklar creature, return the rest in any order. So this is pretty good for a couple of reasons. You don't have total control over what gets free played, which means sometimes you're going to free play Lightning Squaws, which is not super great, and sometimes you're going to free play Talcon, which can potentially be incredibly strong, right? And then also being able to stack the top 4 cards of your deck is pretty good, I think. Being able to control what cards you have next lets you set up for stuff in the future. Specifically, it'll also give you knowledge of like Talcon ability, like if you do happen to get Talcon off of the free play. So there's like a high so as far as like the free play goes, there's like a higher potential ceiling for how strong it'll be relative to like Cerebram, who basically just grabs Walking Man or Skelepede out of the deck. But it's going to be less consistent. And then it's also, yeah, this card has like higher ceilings than Cerebram, I think. It's obviously stronger offensively. It's, the free play is potentially bigger, and then also you can eventually stack your deck to get cards that you want, but it's also a little bit less consistent. It's a little bit, you won't always get the creature you want. You might not get a creature at all, potentially, when you try to go for the free play. The 390 is a little more fragile, less stable in general. It's a very interesting card. I think it will be good. I think like this card alone, like potentially makes Teklar like a pretty playable strategy. Because in the past they don't really have like a legitimate viable win condition. They just kind of like play cards. So this I think will super help them at least get to like a playable status even if they're not meta. And then there is Cricket. Cricket is interesting. I'm not sure how good it's going to be. It's a 1-star 50/30, and basically when it's killed by an attack, you can pay 1 star to put it second from the top, I believe, which is interesting. It means you can recur it basically infinitely as long as it doesn't get removed. The thing is, it's like it's not very good to draw or play, but I guess having it like second from top means at the beginning of your turn, you know the top creature will be a Teklar creature, which could increase the consistency of some cards, like, what are other cards that do stuff? I don't know. Like other Teklar cards that require you to have a Teklar creature on top of your deck, like Talcon, for example. So I'm not sure how good it is. It's just basically just a chump blocker, like to help with consistency. I don't think it will be super meta, but it might get played. I'm not entirely sure. Kind of hard to gauge how valuable that effect is. It's definitely an interesting card, though. I'd like to see how people mess with it, if they do. And then there is Stackaron, we've known about. It's been in the game for a while. And there's Planet Racer, so 240, 230, 5-star. And then when creatures cosplayed, you can add a Galaxy 4-star or lower Teklar creature to your hand. This card in a vacuum is incredibly strong. Being able to pull 4 or below is like very good for a lot of planets, I think. It's obviously a very strong search that will get stronger as the game goes on. The stats are okay as well. Nothing to scoff at, I suppose. The issue though is like the Teklar card pool is still pretty not that great. Like I think I have the database open. Yeah, like if we go through the 4 and below Teklar creatures in the game right now, like Atom Warrior is vanilla. That's not very good. Bazafaz is not super relevant either. Bounce Club is not good. Kazarak Creators, okay in Kazarax. Google Motherboard is awful. Cyanite is mediocre vanilla. Steam Crank is good, but you don't want to add it to your hand. You want to set it up on top of your deck. And then Tonk is unplayable. So, the thing is, Planet Racer is a good ability. There's just a lackluster amount of targets. Like, you're going to target maybe like Lightning Squads. Like the Brain's not very good either. Lightning Squad's pretty good, but it's like a 2-star, so it's not like super impactful. It's just kind of hard to see what you'd actually try to tutor out with this card. Even though the effect does seem quite strong on paper. And then lastly, I think is Top Scanner's last creature. This creature also seems pretty interesting. Potentially might see play. 150, 100 is a fine stat line for a 3-star. And only once when you look at the top card of your deck, and it is a Teklar creature, you return to the bottom of your deck and draw 1 card. So draw support is always good. especially now since we've banned a couple of the cards that are like overwhelmingly strong draw cards. Notably, what is it called? Notably, Cosmic Treasure. Cosmic Treasure is obviously very strong. So being able to add consistency and build more card advantage is always good. I'm just worried about the consistency of Top Skinner itself. Maybe with stuff like Cricket and Safety Cable, like this is fine, and you'll be able to stack your deck well enough that you can consistently get the draw off this card, and hopefully it doesn't end up like Relics Dustrock, where it's kind of like a 50-50 whether you get value out of it, because this card is also just not statted as well as Relics Dustrock, so it kind of needs the draw to actually be impactful. Definitely we'll see how this turns out. Seems potentially pretty strong, hard to say though. Okay, Mystical Relic, Ancient Coins. This card's bad. I don't really have to discuss it too much, but basically, shuffling cards into your galaxy, then draw 2 cards. It's a -1, doesn't really affect the game state. It's just kind of yeah, doesn't really do anything. Kind of do nothing Mystical Relic, like most Mystical Relics besides Spoons. Yeah, nobody's gonna play this ever, and for good reason. It looks cool though. I like the art. Safety Cable we know about. It's strong and good. Life Force Blade is interesting, so the 50 power gain is not that good, but then it says when it kills an opponent's creature, that killed creature loses any ability it has. The wording on the timing is kind of weird. I think it should probably say when the attached creature gains 50 power when it would kill an opponent's creature, that killed creature loses any ability it has. Because right now it sounds like you would like kill a Shocklefly, its ability would activate, and then it would lose its ability, which is like kind of awkward. So probably a small change for that card to be more useful and just like cleaner writing would probably help this card. I still don't think it's gonna be relevant anyway. It's just not a very strong effect to have on an attachment, I think, and the power boost isn't that good either. But it's interesting. And then the last card, I believe, is Altar of Alignment. So basically, this card is when you have less zones and your opponent adds a zone to their planet, you can add zones to your planet until you have the same amount of zones as your opponent. Basically, zone advantage is pretty important, but like if your deck is built well and you are playing well, there should never be a point where your opponent has more zones than you and is in a like a position, and you're in a position where you need to catch up on zones because you're like that far behind in like Star Economy and stuff. Whereas like zone advantage and Star Economy are like pretty interesting, like pretty complicated concepts, but like like if you're in a position where you're behind on zones and you're not able to catch up by buying zones, going -1 by playing this card is like probably not the best way to catch up. I don't know. It's just kind of a bad comeback card, I think. Probably not gonna see play. It's interesting though. Zone gain in general is not very strong. But yeah, that's all the cards I believe. I think these standouts are definitely like, what are the standouts? The standouts are like Top Scanner is a standout. I think this should help with Teklar's consistency and like draw power. I think Cricket and Planet Racer maybe will be good. It's kind of hard to tell. It kind of depends on what the strategy around Teklar ends up being. I could see these cards seeing play, but also I'm not like super confident in them being good picks. Cricket as well. And then HYDORON, I think the card's obviously very strong, like really obviously strong. So that'll be good for Teklar. Gives them a good like strong win condition. Super viable. This card's obviously going to see play. And then there was Squaz. Squaz, the other card that I think might just be like an interesting card in the format in general, in and out of Teklar. So yeah. I still think Teklar needs a little bit of catching up to do, even with these cards. But I think now they're at a point where you can actually like play like a Teklar deck, instead of playing like a Teklar combiner deck, if you know what I mean. It definitely feels like they have a more cohesive card pool now. Like they have cards that actually do things instead of like previously they just kind of had a bunch of vanillas and mediocre effect creatures. So it's definitely putting them in a better spot. But yeah, they still need a little bit of time to catch up for sure. They are behind. But yeah, good reveal on all. I'm gonna do the Gaios one next because that is already out, and then back to tier list. I swear I'll catch up. Again, Discord in down below. Zach's channel, he makes the game. Chaos TCG is also down below. I think I have links to some of the other TCG creators down below. And then, yeah, if you want more content, analysis, I've done like CG lessons. I want to do more of those. Um, Pack opening sometimes. We do tier lists. We do gameplay footage. We do, oh man, we do everything here. Deck profiles. I want to do more deck profiles too. So thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all of that. And I will see you